Hey, real quick, I wanted to come in here. We're going to cut into CBS really fast, the evening news, and give you a quick update on a tornado warning that's in the area. If we could, let's bring the graphics full really fast here. That'll be helpful to talk through what's going on. So we've got a tornado warning that's been issued for parts of southern Fayette County. This does come up to the Effingham County line. That's why I want to talk about it a little bit here. The rotation is still south and west of Vandalia. It's not all that strong. It's still something that we've got to watch here. So we're going to keep a close eye on things for the next little bit and keep you updated on that. So while we are doing that, I would like to get our bug off in the corner there, and that should be disappearing in a second perhaps. We'll see if we can't get that map to go away. But anyways, that's that warning that's been issued. This is going to go for the next 40 minutes or so here. A tornado warning now in effect for parts of Fayette County, and will be with us for a little while longer until we can get this storm cleared on through. This does not include Effingham County as of yet, but the direction it is moving will carry it into Effingham County. And so that's something that we'll keep an eye on for the next 40 minutes or so. South of Vandalia on US 51 is about where that area of rotation is. And so that's something that we'll continue to monitor and keep an eye on here for us. If we can, I'd like to widen our shot just a little bit here at the pod, and then we can go ahead and bring me back on screen. I've got the little severe weather bug that's in the corner. Lots of us in central Illinois not impacted by this. If you're in Champaign, Decatur, you're in Bloomington Normal, you're in Danville, you're in places like Mattoon, Charleston. This is even south of you. We're here now for our friends in Effingham County because this warning does butt up to the edge. We'll continue for a little bit, so that's something that we'll watch for the next about 40 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and bring me back up here and we can talk through things real fast. First off, we do intend to keep our newscast at 5:30. That'll be coming up in a minute. The plan will be is we'll toss to break, then kind of watch things and continue to monitor things for the newscast. Cut in as needed, especially if this warning gets closer to the Effingham County area. Currently at this time, the area of rotation is going to be south of Vandalia here. That's going to be coming up on US 51 fairly quickly. As we look at it, you'll notice that rotation right to the south and west of Kaskaskia there on US 51, north of Patoka. We're kind of in that fringe area, but it's very clear that there is a circulation that's in place here that'll be moving off to the east. I-70 in Fayette County, south of there is where this threat is. Vandalia is okay. Mulberry Grove is fine. A lot of rural area here, but then we catch Illinois 185. That'll be between the Farina exit on 57, and then that carries you up to the east side of Vandalia there. Watch out here. And then right here is Effingham County. I suspect we probably had some wireless emergency alerts go off in Altamont and Mason, potentially in Effingham, depending on where your cell service comes from. And so that's something that we'll keep an eye on here with this warning coming through. A lot of time for this storm to get to Effingham County, but that last scan even looked like it picked up a little bit more. This warning in Fayette County is going to go until 6 o'clock. To the south of it, there is another severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for parts of Clinton and Marion counties, and that has just been extended over to the east. This, I think, will stay along and south of I-70. So southern Effingham County will be next in line as we get close to the 5:45, 6 o'clock hour with this warning that is continuing to move on through. I'll jump back to velocity real quick and kind of identify it. You can really starting to see that tighten up a bit here on US 51 south of Vandalia. And if this trend continues, we might be moving in a direction that becomes even more favorable for a tornado to form. Besides that, though, with this storm, do have some suspicion there may be some strong straight line winds in it as well with this curving this end here, and that rotation is wrapped up in. The other thing by looking at that, going to be hard to spot that unless you're behind it into the south and west. A lot of rain sitting there, heavy rain on US 51 as it continues off to the north and east. And so folks that are downstream from this, Wilburton, Lone Grove, St. James, Farina, eventually parts of southern Effingham County. That's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on for a little bit here. And you can see a couple of these storms just south of our area now. We're here primarily because this warning comes up to the Effingham County line to give some folks an early heads up. And I think soon we'll be kind of jumping back to coverage, coming back for the newscast, and we'll see what we have to do through that. But wanted to give some time and some heads up to our friends that are in Effingham County of this tornado warning that was just issued moments ago. That warning will go until 6 o'clock for Fayette counties. And moving downstream then, Effingham County, if we time this out, that area of rotation, I'll put up a quick plug on you here. And it's moving at approximately that speed, if we bring it in that direction, looks like the Farina area probably getting close to the 6 o'clock hour. We start to see some of those Effingham County towns, 612 Mason, 620 Watson, 628 Effingham. That's assuming that straight track there. Maybe it stays more south. I don't think this will end up being a problem for areas north of I-70. Even Effingham probably at this point is right on the line, more the southern part of the county that we'll have to watch. And eventually that may carry into parts of Jasper, Crawford counties. If we keep it going even further, Cumberland and Clark County also would consider you, but we are a couple hours away from getting it to that point. At this point, I think if you can let me know in the back, we get to a time we can toss to a commercial break, reset some things, and then get our newscast started. I'll start with my forecast first. I know we got a lot of things to talk about. It's going to be interesting because some of these areas in a tornado warning now, tomorrow are having a total eclipse. We've got some stories about that, but we also know that there probably are some people camping out there. A lot of folks heading down early. Folks are traveling on the interstate. And so with that here, I-57 eventually between Salem and Effingham, someplace we're going to have to watch and keep an eye on that as this storm continues to move off to the east. No indication of a tornado down, but there is some strong rotation showing up. That's going to be south of Vandalia, right on the Fayette-Marion County line. It continues to the east. That'll be heading towards southern Effingham County before long. Again, in the back, give me an update, what we're thinking, what we're doing here. Say that again. Okay, they're calling things back there and getting ready. We'll toss back, get a commercial break in. Amanda Brennan's here in the studio, ready for the newscast, and so that's something that we will continue to monitor this as it moves on. So that little 5-minute heads up. I'll keep our digital stream on as well, and we'll be able to watch the newscast there. I know a lot of folks are moving for the eclipse, and so we want to watch things pretty closely here. I'm Jacob Dickey. Thanks for the quick cut-in of this tornado warning for Fayette County. Keeping an eye on Effingham County. I'll have more coming up during the newscast here in just a few minutes from now.
This is your WCIA 3 forecast first, sponsored by Route 66 Solar.
5:30 now. We're going to take a look here at a bit of active weather that is showing up. We do have a tornado warning, actually, for parts of Fayette County. Not to Effingham County yet. We watch closely in Effingham County as once we get to the county line there, that warning does butt up to the south and west part of the county. And so we'll continue to monitor things pretty quickly there. This is our only storm, really, that we're dealing with across the area. Not much else to look at. Things are pretty quiet in Champaign-Urbana. We had some small hail, some thunder reported, but that one tornado-warned storm continues there. Now east of US 51 and is crossing into southeastern Fayette County. So we'll be watching through the newscast to see if there are any further extensions for that. I will have more updates on the eclipse for you. Also, updates in the forecast through tonight, tomorrow. What's that cloud cover do? And we'll continue to keep an eye on the severe storm here that is south of Vandalia. WCIA 3 News at 5:30 starts right now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 5:30.
Science experiment for everybody to get to see. People across the nation are gearing up for tomorrow's eclipse, and right here in central Illinois, we'll get a pretty good view ourselves. Places like the Champaign Public Library are getting everyone ready. Good evening, I'm Amanda Brennan. Scientists say it's the last solar event of its kind for many years, and it's less than 24 hours away. Of course, you'll need a pair of these to stay safe, and it's one thing that the library wants to make sure eclipse watchers have for free ahead of time. WCIA 3's Will Simmons is with us. So Will, you talked to many people today. What are their plans like for tomorrow?
Well, Amanda, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Some are planning on heading south to catch a glimpse of totality. Others won't be able to travel far, but they say that's okay. No matter if you're an amateur or hardcore space fan, you're bound to catch a glimpse of history.
As soon as I heard about it, it's so great. I'm pretty geeky, pretty nerdy. I have apps from the space station on my phone. It's very exciting. As soon as I heard about it, it's so great. I'm pretty geeky, pretty nerdy. I have apps from the space station on my phone. It's very exciting.
Eclipse glasses are everywhere lately, from grocery stores to sites online, but those can come at a price. The Champaign Public Library is taking some anxiety out of people's eclipse plans, offering free pairs. Elena Gomez got hers. Now she's ready for the rare celestial event, even if she won't be able to see totality.
We're probably not going to see it here, but I should probably get my butt to like where it's going to be great. But I got to work.
The library is having a watch party complete with a DJ and even more free glasses. It's something they've had in the works for quite some time.
Try 2017 when the other eclipse happened. So we knew at that point in time that there was going to be another eclipse.
Alex de Guzman waited in the long line to pick up a pair. He says this time he'll be ready.
I missed the last one in 2017 because I think I overslept it. And so this time I don't really want to miss it.
Not everybody came to the library for an eclipse handout. Natalie White is here for the books. She says she's burnt out on eclipse talk and needs to study.
Over the past week, I've felt enough of the eclipse that I'm just like, okay, I know it's here. I don't need to watch it.
NASA scientists say the next solar eclipse to come through the state is in 75 years. The next one to pass over central Illinois won't be until 2153.
Okay, maybe I will. I'm easily persuaded.
For those who can't travel closer to the path of totality, people nearby will still be able to see a good show.
Sometimes things are so big that you just can't feel them, you know? Yeah. Ooh, that's heavy.
In Champaign, the eclipse will near totality at about 2 in the afternoon. The library's event will start at 1:30. For a list of other viewing parties in the area, you can head to our website, WCIA.com. Back to you.
All right, Will, thank you. And Jacob, it's not just Champaign. I mean, people are heading south to Carbondale area. You guys are going to McLeansboro. Lots to monitor here.
Yeah, and of course, we've got that one tornado warning now, too. So
Yeah.
Go figure, right, how that works. So we're keeping an eye on that. Folks probably heading south in 57 now. Now, we were talking about the eclipse in our area and across the region. First up, if you're here in Champaign, these are the numbers for you. The partial eclipse begins at 12:48. For everyone in central Illinois, that number is within a couple of minutes of each other. In Champaign, we look for the maximum eclipse at 97.91% to be about 205. We're all in that 201 to 207 range if you're watching the WCIA 3 viewing area, and it exits by 3:20. And so that's something that we will be keeping an eye on is where's that line of totality? We got a good idea of it. First off, we're heading to McLeansboro. That'll be fully in totality. We get about 4 minutes of 100% coverage there. That you can catch coverage in that as well. But you can see here, look at that. It gets dark there at 2:02. That timing, pretty quick for a lot of us here. You don't have to go far to get totality, and there's a big difference here. We're talking places from Effingham to the south, parts of Cumberland County, from Paris to the south there, Marshall, Casey, places like that are in full totality, and there's a big difference in that. This is what it'll look like in Mattoon at that maximum partial eclipse, 99.4%. Look at it in Effingham. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event for us here, something that we'll be watching closely. And the good news is I expect to see overall things looking pretty good for this. Maybe a little bit of cloud cover that builds, but that won't be a problem for us, Amanda. We're going to talk more about what that looks like, have an update with your full forecast coming up later on in the show.
All right, Jacob, looking forward to it. Thanks. Wondering what the eclipse will look like in your own backyard? Well, WCIA has you covered over on our website with an interactive eclipse map. You can type in any city from across the state, and then it'll tell you the best time to look outside, what kind of coverage you're expected to get in your area. The map is just a click away on WCIA.com. Police from the Decatur Park District say part of the 9/11 memorial by the lake is missing, and now they're trying to find the piece and the suspects. The department posted photos on their Facebook outlining what they believe happened. They say part of a metal filing cabinet, which was donated from the World Trade Center site, was missing around 9 p.m. on February 15th, but police weren't notified until March 29th. Based on evidence, officials believe it was thrown into Lake Decatur. Crews have been trying and diving in to find it, but so far no luck. If you know anything, call the police. We have contact information at WCIA.com. And in Champaign, parents with students in schools met yet again. It's the second time in a month they're talking about the state of the district and how to best approach board meetings. Just like last time, they say they're frustrated with the school board, and now that feeling is growing for some after the last meeting was canceled when the board couldn't meet quorum. That's where parents originally planned to make public comments, and at today's meeting at the firehouse, it was all about fighting the great fight once again. Organizers say it's important for parents to band together if they hope to be heard.
We need to, as a community, as a body, as parents of kids in the school district, to stay informed, be engaged, and forward this agenda to make sure that the kids are put first.
The whole reason the board didn't meet quorum last time was over a disagreement about electing a new board vice president. That item is on the agenda once again for tomorrow, and it's possible board members may walk out. Now, also on tomorrow's agenda, possibly renewing the school resource officer contract between Champaign schools and the city. The program was temporarily suspended back in 2021 because of police staffing shortages. The meeting is at 5:30 at the Administrative Center. Well, coming up, we're still talking about the eclipse, but let's hit the road. How one couple down south is celebrating more than just one thing tomorrow afternoon. Plus this.
Probably maxed out at capacity.
Caitlyn Clark taking the world of sports by storm, how her game is impacting local restaurants, and how the team did in today's championship game. Details after this. We are less than 24 hours away from a historic eclipse. People have put a lot of prep into their plans, but for one couple, they have a bit more on their to-do list for this Monday. This is Elisa Sloan and Roger Penton. He's always loved astronomy, so why not combine his love for space and love for his fiance all into one big event? They're getting married during the eclipse tomorrow in Texas.
It's kind of a beginning of sorts. You're kind of going from light back to dark and back to light again, so it's kind of, starting a new chapter in that way. So
yeah, I guess a rebirth of our relationship.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
By the time the moon fully blocks the sun, the ceremony will be over and the cocktail hour will just be starting. Of course, congratulations to them. And we'll be right back with a quick break, a quick look at the weather.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Jacob Dickey.
I want to keep you updated on this severe weather in Central Illinois right now. The time is 5:43. If we can bring the shot a little bit, I'd like to zoom in on some of these areas that we're looking at for us. First off, we do have a tornado warning still in effect for Fayette County. It's now east of Vandalia. No warning for Effingham County yet. And I would suggest there are some signs that maybe it's weakening just a little bit here. But still, as we zoom in and look at some of that data, if there is an area of rotation, it's going to be there on crossing, what is that, 185, that is, northwest of Farina. There's that rotation. It's not as obvious to me, which is a good sign. If this trend continues, we might not get a tornado warning for Effingham County, but still is in effect there for Fayette County until 6 o'clock. We'll be watching it pretty closely here for a little bit. That is our only storm of the day. However, you might know someone who's driving south for the eclipse now. If they're heading south on 57, between Effingham and Mount Vernon is where we'll have to watch things closely here. There's that tornado warning in Fayette County, but also severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible even for Marion County, coming in areas west of Jefferson County back towards, say, Nashville and Carlisle. And so if you're heading south on 57, you want to be aware of what may be coming that way. So we're going to watch that closely. If there is an extension into Effingham County, that's something that we're going to watch and keep an eye on. If we could, I'd like to bring Max 1 up on the key, and I'll head over there. We do have a forecast to talk about as well. And so that's something that we'll be keeping an eye on here for a little bit, as this one warning does go for another 15 minutes from now. Nothing happened in Champaign here. We did have some rain and storms earlier. Things are pretty quiet. As we look now at those temperatures, still in the 50s out there, and we've got an east and southeast wind. Tonight, do expect some scattered showers and thunderstorms to move on through the next couple of hours, but it will clear out pretty quickly. Now we got 49 for a low in Champaign, 46 in Decatur, 48 in Mattoon here. Not as cold, which is good. I think that wind will help us out just a little bit. Tomorrow, look for those temperatures to climb into the middle 70s out there with lots of sunshine. I think it's going to be a great day for us. 74 in Champaign, Decatur, 73. Taylorville and Springfield getting up to 75. Let's talk about that eclipse forecast for tomorrow. It's about as good as it can get, really, for a lot of us. I think it's great here in central Illinois if you're staying local. Some serious clouds possible. If you're a photographer, you probably care about that a little more than the rest of us here. The other thing is totality, again, not far away. If you can make the trip, even just a little bit, big difference for us. That's something to watch. This is that difference between partial and totality here. You can really notice it's a once in a lifetime thing. You got to wait till 2099 for a chance in Illinois, 2153 or something like that for seeing a chance in central Illinois. Future track, we got the storms that are exiting here by 9 o'clock. Notice here, some cloud cover trying to stick around tonight, but I think we're generally trending clear. We will see some cirrus clouds further to the south of I-70, but cirrus clouds are thin. They don't impact things a lot, and so it's something we'll keep an eye on, but I don't think it's going to ruin the view. I still think it's a stellar view for a lot of us across the region, and there'll be a nice day in between weather systems as there's more rain chances Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's my eclipse view forecast. I mean, it's great up here, near perfect across much of central Illinois. Still really good to the south. That cirrus cloud cover, way better than low gray stratus clouds that affect things. So about as good as you can get for a lot of Illinois and Indiana. Quick check at the extended outlook. If you like warmer weather in general, we've got that. The 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day outlooks, all warmer than normal for us here across the region. So that's something that we will be watching and keeping an eye on as maybe we can say we're done, maybe, fingers crossed, with any of that bitter cold frost freeze weather that a lot of the farmers and agriculturalists aren't a fan of. The coldest we get is down into the low 40s Thursday night after that system leaves. We'll talk more about those chances for showers. Couple on Tuesday. We've got Wednesday and Thursday. That's probably the best chance for rain here. And on the backside, then some lingering rain showers possible into Friday. That is your 7-day forecast. We'll be back after this.
It's something businesses around Champaign have noticed themselves. Better seasons for the Illini, better business for themselves. Same rings true in Iowa City, about 3.5 hours from here. Every time the Iowa women beat the buzzer, Hawkeye fans are flooding to nearby bars and restaurants around the state. One manager near Des Moines says this past Friday during the women's Final Four, her restaurant made 3 times more than usual, and it was a similar space today as the team faced South Carolina in the championship game.
We're getting more and more people, and it's getting bigger, it's getting louder, and it's a very fun environment to be in. I think with Caitlyn and her being in it now and making such an impact. We have gotten such a bigger crowd just for her. We used to not do a whole lot with women's basketball, and so with her now, we're getting way more.
The Common Sense Institute says the Caitlyn Clark effect has generated as much as $52 million for the Iowa economy before the tournament even started. All right, Andy, we've got today, tomorrow, and then done with college basketball.
Hard to believe.
I know.
The championship tomorrow, Purdue and UConn. A lot of people looking forward to that. We got highlights coming up of that Iowa-South Carolina game, plus Illinois football. Spring ball is well underway, and they're going to need to find some new pass catchers. We got more on someone who could take that role coming up next.
And now, WCIA 3 Sports with Andy Olson.
These were Illinois football's top leading receivers last season. Williams, Washington, and Bryant all had over 560 yards receiving. That's the first time ever 3 Illini receivers have been over that mark in the same season. Ryman led the way for tight ends with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. But in 2024, all that production is headed out the door. Bryant will likely lead the way as a junior, but there's a lot of room for new faces to step into playing time. One such face is former 4-star recruit Malik Elzy, and as Courtney Lane Brewer shows us, he's ready to step up in a big way.
Malik Elzy learned a lot from the sidelines in 2023.
When you face adversity, what you going to do? You going to stay down, or you just going to rise and get out of that and just learn? And I feel like I learned very well and just learned how to play hard.
Now the new position coach and new motivation, the Chicago native is ready for year 2 with the Illini after only reeling in 5 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown in his freshman season.
I told these guys, I mean, look, you got a ton of production walking out of the door. Like, who's going to step up and who's going to be the guy?
Where some athletes would take being the 3rd or 4th string guy as a reason to lose enthusiasm or even enter the portal, Elzy has focused on his game and proving himself as the guy for the job.
Spring ball has actually helped me out a lot, just learning the plays, just learning where I got to be and manipulating the routes. And Coach Stepp just helped me just be that dominant dog. Another really smart kid that works really hard, that runs good routes. And another guy that cares a lot, man. He's in here all the time.
With only a few weeks left of spring ball and then a short summer before gearing up for the season, Elzy is committed to this team and ready to step up to a leading role this season. Reporting for Your Illini Nation, Courtney Lane Brewer, WCIA 3 Sports.
Courtney, thanks. Outside of Bryant, here's some of the Illini's options in 2024. Ashton Hollins had 9 catches for over 100 yards in his redshirt freshman season. Can't forget about Rochester's Hank Beatty and a new addition to the room, 6'4" Tyson Rooks, making the switch from defensive back to wide receiver this spring. All right, finally, the game everyone has been waiting for. Iowa taking on South Carolina in the Women's National Championship game this afternoon. Hawkeyes start out hot. Caitlyn Clark getting it to go from 3. It's a 10-0 run to begin the game, but Carolina undefeated for a reason. They come all the way back, and Tahina Pau hits a 3 to give them the lead going into half, and USC owned the second half. Camila Cardoso, the putback, and they are running away with it. Gamecocks win their 3rd title in 8 years, 87-75. We got more on the weather coming up next after the break.
Just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for far southern Effingham County, keeping an eye on a few of those rotating storms. Stay south of I-70. We're going to continue our digital coverage. So head on over to our Facebook page or our news app.
Lots to monitor. All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you at 10. If you can, go ahead and tighten that shot for me here. We should be on our digital platforms now, just getting some things set up for us here to continue with this. I'm also kind of talking with production behind the scene. I just need you guys standing by at this point because I don't have a tornado warning active for Effingham County, but we're going to watch for the next 15, 20 minutes. If there was one, we'll pop on air, so I'll talk to you through my magic button here to give you a heads up behind the scenes, and then we'll just keep it primarily as a camera shot for us if that works with you guys. Does that sound good? Cool. Thank you for that. All right. Thanks for staying with us here. We are on our digital platforms now. Did have a severe thunderstorm warning extended ahead of this tornado warning. Tornado warning does continue for Fayette County. The initial rotation circulation was up here now, and it has pretty much fizzled out. So that's some good news for us here as we keep an eye on things. What I am going to do also is I'm going to pop on some other streams for us. We've got Seth down in Diederich right now. He's down there keeping an eye on things. Had a little bit of hail reported from some viewers, and he'll be watching. So I'm going to turn on some additional streams, and we'll welcome in some more viewers for some updates here from the storm. So give me a second to get everything squared away, and we will welcome our more viewers here before all is said and done. All right, the time is
6 o'clock. We just have a severe thunderstorm warning. We are only on digital. We're not on TV at this point because the tornado warning has expired. And so we are strictly on digital to continue that coverage. But with that tornado warning earlier, we did have some concern for Effingham County. And that's why we were coming in a little early before the end of CBS News to give our friends in Effingham County a heads up. And the other thing about that is this storm here would be south of Effingham if it caused problems. I think the I-70 corridor, immediate corridor, Effingham, Altamont, Teutopolis, going to be okay. South of there, though, is where we have to watch with these storms that are coming on through the very edge of our viewing area. Looks like they're going to continue a severe thunderstorm warning for areas from Farina to Kimmondy over towards Laclede, Blair, Watson, south of there, south of Effingham, south of Diederich, where Seth is now. This new severe thunderstorm is just for the panhandle that sticks out there on I-57 until 6:15. The new warning for Effingham County, a new warning was issued for southern Effingham and northern Clay County. And let me pull up the data for that one as well here. Just a severe thunderstorm warning at this point, but you can see it is with 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail until 6:45. And this also is going to be with the threat tornado possible. What that tornado possible tag means is usually that is a sign where, hey, we've got some rotation. We're monitoring it closely. It's kind of like that first extra heads up that we keep an eye on, but it's not worth an actual tornado warning yet. There is some rotation, but not enough to we think it would produce a tornado. So that is the difference between that for some folks who may ask and be like, hey, what is that? So that's kind of what we watch for there. So this here is that warning. Again, this is far southern Effingham County that's in effect here. A lot of folks in central Illinois are just fine here. And I'll pop up to the regional view for you, give you an idea where these storms are. There's just some scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder along the I-57 corridor from Effingham to Mattoon and up towards Champaign. To the east, some of those showers too. But we do have some thunderstorms that are developing south of I-70. Effingham, Crawford, Jasper counties there is where we would watch for maybe a slim chance for a severe weather threat. And the only problems really in the area are right here in south central Illinois, including in parts of our area. So that's what we will watch and keep an eye on for that too. So we've got these warnings that are in effect for a little bit. I'm going to switch some radars here. One thing about this area is that it's hard to get a good radar. We've got St. Louis, we've got Lincoln, we've got Evansville as radar sites. And this is kind of a no man's land where that radar beam is a little bit higher. And so it can be hard to get an accurate view in this area, at least as accurate, say, if you were closer to the radar. That radar beam angles up a little bit. And so we're looking a little higher in this storm than maybe we would in other places. But as we do that here, let me flip on the Evansville radar and kind of look and see if we spot any rotation. There is some, not a lot, but some right here. What we're looking at is where there's greens and reds touching. And I see a little bit here to the southeast of Farina, not by much, south of Kimmondy a little bit. But the other thing that strikes out to me is that maybe we're seeing some outflow winds cut off or choke off the rotation, which is why we're going with the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag, as opposed to a tornado warning with this storm. So that's something that we'll keep an eye on with that. I've seen lots of pictures. I've had lots of reports come in. I've seen that through the National Weather Service as well, where they've got some eyes in the ground in that area. And they're opting for that severe thunderstorm warning, those orange boxes. And for us, that red outline gives me a signal when I'm on air, hey, that's a tornado possible tag, which again, doesn't mean one is imminent. It's not going to alert your cell phone. It's not going to set off the sirens more than likely. It's not going to activate those types of things. But it is a clue that maybe we need to watch those storms a little closer than if there were some other storms. But we've got 1, 2, 3 of those storms that we'll keep an eye on here as just fringe area for us here, south of Effingham. But we still have viewers down there in southern Effingham County. And so we'll keep an eye on for them and keep an eye for the folks that are there. But I know, what I do know is that there is a number of folks who are heading south for the eclipse. We're talking, some prime real estate for the eclipse coverage. That totality comes right through here. So there's a lot of folks camping down there. There's a lot of folks who are there early, maybe not from the area. And I know a lot of the folks live here in central Illinois in our viewing area that are down there. So we'll continue to keep things covered with these warnings that are coming through for the next little bit. It is 6:05. We are digital only at this point. If we need to go on TV, what would prompt that is if there was a tornado warning issued in Effingham County, and I have not had any indications that that would be the case. Kind of looking to see if the National Weather Service has any updates, and they do not have any additional updates for me on the Effingham County storm. Still some areas of rotation, but mainly they're looking at this as a damaging wind and a large hail threat. So that's kind of what they're identifying. We started with a tornado warning in Fayette County earlier, a little bit about 5:15 or so. And that was for this storm right here. And you can see how it carried off to the north and east. We cut it on TV for it. You can see how it was rotating pretty good. That storm, if it continued, was going to be an Effingham County problem. But whatever it hit after US 51, look how it starts to weaken, not look quite as impressive, almost like it occludes out. It just spins to dissipate, wisps away. And so that is not a problem here. This storm that is moving on through, it's not even a storm. It's hardly a rain shower now sitting over Effingham. The stronger storms are still south of Effingham now. I-57 between Farina and Marion is where some of those intense storms sit. And then even down towards Mount Vernon, they'll be heading that way pretty quickly as well. And so some quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That tornado threat low at this point, not immediately requiring a tornado warning, but we're going to watch that, keep a close eye on that for the next little bit. There are a number of you on. If anyone has any reports, maybe you're watching from somewhere, you let us know. It's we like to hear those reports. Cheyenne saying in Kinmundy, they sounded the sirens at 6:30. That's because there was a tornado warning for Fayette County. I think she meant 5:30. I meant 5:30. She said 5:30. 5:30, there was a tornado warning for Fayette County. So the outdoor warning sirens probably went off Fayette County. Kinmundy, they did. I bet they went off for areas south of Vandalia and along I-70 as well. And sometimes those counties, they only have one button for the whole county. So that tornado warning was in the southern part of the county. They might have blown for the whole county because that's the only option they have. It's a way that they don't have the pinpoint accuracy of, say, your cell phone knowing your location. They just got one button. They hit that button, sound all those sirens off. If you got a cell phone in the area, I'm certain at some point we had some folks in Effingham County when that tornado warning was first issued, probably towards Altamont, south of there, south and west of Effingham, might have had their wireless emergency alerts go off saying tornado warning in your area. Again, Effingham County was not in that, but those alerts are tied to your cell phone tower that you're pinged to. And if the cell phone tower sits in that polygon, then the warning gets sent to your phone, even if you are not yourself in that tornado warning. NOAA Weather Radio sounds for the county. We can program those for counties. So Effingham County, NOAA Weather Radios did not go off. Fayette County did go off. Even those that were up north and north of Vandalia there along 51 towards Ramsey, they went off because part of the county was under a tornado warning. We do have something new at WCIA that is a really unique thing for us. This is an opportunity for us to be even more pinpoint specific. It's called Weather Call. And for that warning, if it went off, it's just $12 a year is all it is. It's a phone-based service where you put in your home location, you get a call from us here at WCIA saying, hey, there's a warning, be aware, heads up. And if anyone who signed up for Weather Call that's in Effingham County would not have gotten a call. Anyone in Fayette County, if they were in the tornado warning and they were signed up for Weather Call, would have gotten an alert based on your home location. I know a lot of folks saying, hey, I got smartphones. I got all kinds of things, TV, things of that. 1 in 5 people in Illinois, on average, still don't have reliable access to internet. This is a great, I know we've got senior citizens. I know we've got elderly folks who just love the landline. Technology is hard. This is a really simple service to use. And if you've got your cell phone, you're not watching on your phone, what you can do, maybe you're watching on a computer or a TV, you can scan that code right there, and that'll take you to the site. I'm also going to drop the link in the chat real quick. And that way, anyone who's interested can grab that. And, this might not be the service for you. That's totally fine. We might have ways for as many people to get warning information as possible. But you might have someone in your family who, hey, their landline, they aren't as active. This might be an additional way to stay connected with that is this Weather Call right here. So you can click that link. $12 a year is all it is. I mean, that's pretty good for a price. The service, it's you get an emergency, your area, tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning, and you can even customize some of that. That is a great service to have for folks in your family who maybe aren't as connected or maybe aren't as aware. And it will send severe thunderstorm warnings and potentially flash flood warnings if you like those as well. You also get an update if there's a tornado watch there, but you can customize those settings. I think that's a great thing to have. And with the warnings that we've got, it's always great to talk about that. That's something new we just debuted in our severe weather special. Look at Central Illinois here. The county outline, of course, our viewing area. Most all of us, nothing happening here. We keep an eye on the area south of I-70 where just enough of those ingredients have come together. We've got a couple of warnings down there. And I know we've got folks from Champaign, Decatur, Vermilion County. They've headed south for the eclipse. Some of you, like myself, might be waiting till tomorrow, but there are folks who love to get down there early and are watching things. And so we are going to keep an eye on our friends that are down there and kind of update with that. I am seeing some folks say, hey, I'm in Fairmount. I got a double rainbow. If you ever get any pictures, too, please send them our way. We love getting your pictures. We love seeing them. There are 4 of us meteorologists. There are thousands of you that are out there. And you get a weather-related photo, whether it's a rainbow, a snow picture, if it's heavy rain and flooding, storm damage. We love to see those pictures. That way we can help the National Weather Service be aware of what's going on with that. Currently, at this point, severe thunderstorm warning continues for southern Effingham County. I mean, I'm talking the southern part of the county. Does not include the city of Effingham. Here's what it does include, though. It's going to include the Elliottstown area, points south, Lucas, Hill, from Mason to the south, that little edge here. And then it also going to include northern Clay County for this particular warning. The area of concern now is along I-57 at the Effingham County line there towards Laclede and Farina. East of there now, anyone west of I-57 in Fayette County, okay. Effingham County, west of I-57, north of I-70, you're okay here. And this storm will ride the county line right through here is where we think it's heading. So we will keep an eye on that and see if there's any potential increase in rotation from that would prompt a warning. That's something I think we're going to watch and monitor pretty closely here. Just checking something out real quick. Let's first off pull the velocity on it and see if we can spot anything. Not as evident to me, any tornado threat, and it's looking a little further south, so that would barely graze Effingham County if it was the case. It might just be a Clay County issue for any rotation, and that doesn't look all that impressive to me. Like earlier, I'll back it up for you and switch to the St. Louis radar, and I'll show you what we were looking at earlier in Fayette County. Some point, this was earlier the rotation to Fayette County that we were keeping an eye on. It was pretty decent. I was impressed with it overall. Switch to the storm relative velocity. It might pop up a little more, kind of back it up. You can kind of tell where that rotation was that prompted the tornado warning earlier. That rotation's gone. There's been a couple more that have popped up in there. Maybe I do need to switch to the Evansville to view it a little bit. You kind of see that purplish color. There's some clutter that's there, some things that we aren't seeing as well. You can see how there has been some new rotation. There's the earlier view right there that was south of Vandalia. That rotation, well gone. It's just hardly a rain shower. But we're seeing this now moving to Clay County, a little bit there, probably some wind for sure, maybe even a little bit of hail as it's moving north of Louisville, south of Effingham, towards the US 45 corridor is kind of what we're watching here. Okay, let me see if this works. I got a photo to share, and I'm hoping this works. Let's see if my Apple TV is working. It is not working. Let me try and fix one thing real fast here, see if I can get that. And sometimes I got to press a few buttons behind the scene, and that's going to be Max 2, Apple TV. Okay, there it is. It's popping up there now. Let's zoom in on that. See if I can get that to look a little bit bigger for you here. There it is. This is actually a photo that came in from the National Weather Service down by Salem. What we're looking at here is called a shelf cloud. Usually when you see these, kind of have more bark than bite sometimes, but often what we're looking at is that there is some wind in that particular feature. And so we will watch that. Basically, the wind is coming this way from the photo underneath that shelf cloud. The warm, unstable air is rising up above it there. And that's how you get that shelf. It looks kind of like a line across the sky. If you recall the derecho, had a really impressive one. A lot of times we get these and not much happens, but usually if we see those, we kind of look for some of that to be a potential for us here. It is 6:14. At this point, I have no tornado warnings in central Illinois. We do have one severe thunderstorm warning way south of Champaign-Urbana. It's here for our friends in Effingham County. And, of course, anyone who's maybe camping, maybe folks are in the Eclipse heading south towards Olney, towards Fairfield, Louisville, Salem, down there in southern Illinois. We're going to keep an eye on those storms here for a little bit. In fact, one thing they have done is 6:15 hit. Those warnings further to the south and west also have expired. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to their chat and see if they're planning anything new or if they are expecting to keep an eye on things here. So, kind of watching our circulation, still trying to organize a little bit. To me, it almost looks like the earlier Fayette County warning, where it started to spin and we ended up getting a tornado warning out of it. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's that initial backward C shape. Our rotation is right here to the east of Farina. And in the direction it's heading, it stays south of Effingham. In fact, why don't I try and bring up the Effingham camera? We'll just point that thing to the south and see if we can't pop a view of it here. And I'll need to switch a couple of buttons here to check that out. So let's put that Skycam up here. And let me see. There's Champaign. Pretty nice to see. What I really want to do is look at the Effingham camera. So let's switch that to Effingham. The one thing about the Effingham camera here is that we are on the north side of it. And so we're probably not going to get a good look at anything here. That's looking more to the south and the west and the south. Traditionally, you want to be on the south side of the storm. That's that Effingham camera there, and I'll bring it full screen for you so you can see it. You know, Effingham, city limits, you're fine. It's not going to be a problem for you. South Effingham, maybe have to watch east of Watson and Mason towards Elliottstown, Mount Zion, the Lucas Town Hall, St. John's Lutheran Church south of there, and that might carry it in towards the Newton area in Crawford County if it continues. Teutopolis, Montrose, Altamont, Funkhauser, Fancher, Shumway, Green Creek, Sigel, those places are fine. This is not an issue for you. It is primarily the far southern part of Effingham County that we're keeping an eye on. So that's some good news for us here. And so we'll watch and see how that plays out for us. Still going to keep that tornado possible tag on it. Let me jump in and look at velocity here. And there is some evidence of rotation south of Mason. Mason sits right here. Watson's right there. It's in northern Clay County. If it comes on through, it's going to cross far southeastern Effingham County on that trend. It's not strong. It's more broad, but it certainly has upticked just a little bit in the last bit. And I know meteorologist Seth Bonoff, he's down in Diederich here on this lovely Sunday evening. So if something were to pop a little further, he's keeping his eyes on it. He's probably south of town now, knowing him, spotting and keeping the thing. So Seth, if you're watching any photos you get, send my way. So actually, he just texted me. How about that? He is going to head towards Newton. And he'll send some video if something comes about from it. And once he gets to Newton, he might turn a little bit more to the, he might come back a little bit, and we'll just see what happens here with this particular warning that's in place. Again, it is a severe thunderstorm warning. The rotation isn't all that strong, but it is there. Pretty evident what's going on. When we look at the radar, our reds here going away. Our green is going towards, so I'll draw that. And what we see is there's some strong winds kind of wrapping in the backside, and that'll almost force those winds up a little bit. That's where that circulation is. So to me, it would take maybe a little bit more of an uptick, but certainly we have to watch that feature for the next little bit, especially with that surge in the north side. That's kind of pattern recognition. Looks similar to what the Fayette County tornado warning was. And if they issued a tornado warning, that may very well include parts of southeastern Effingham County. No guarantee on that. If there is, that's when we would pop back into television for live coverage. And I know some folks are going to say, I'm in Champaign. I'm in Bloomington. I don't care. It's not my area. Well, hey, guess what? People watch us down there. And if we were to provide tornado warning coverage for you in Champaign, Decatur, Danville, wherever. We provide it for our viewers as well in Effingham and Effingham County. And we aren't on TV now because there is no tornado warning. But if that were to continue trending up in that direction, then that's something that we would consider. And so that's kind of what we'll watch for right there. Checking things out here. At this point, the rotation is going to be kind of over Iola, south of Edgewood, south of Mason there, kind of heading towards the Horde area, St. John's Lutheran Church, St. Paul Cemetery. Eventually kind of carry it towards the Newton Lake and Newton areas. I think it'll be towards Elliottstown. It probably stays south of Diederich, probably stays south of Wheeler as well, but heads towards the Lucas area. And again, it's there, but it's not imminent. That's why we have this severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag with it, as that is something that we will use to kind of say, yep, we see something. We know something's there, but we aren't sold 100% that it's going to produce. But it's kind of that early, I guess what the kids say it is a red flag. It's an early heads up for that particular storm as it continues to move on through. That's it. Again, that's our only storm. You can kind of see that backward C shape there. There's probably some rotation. If there was anything, it's going to be wrapped up in rain south of Edgewood towards the Iola area. If it carries in that direction, it's going to clip southeastern Effingham County, eventually make its way toward, there's Newton Lake. There's Newton. That Newton power station sits right there. It would head in that direction. So Effingham, you're fine. I have no concerns for you. We do have a few other storms, some showers, a little bit of lightning coming in from areas Effingham to the east towards Wheeler and Diederich and south of Green up there and Moonshine, some general thunderstorms, nothing concerning. You can see there is probably more lightning of all of the storms than will be this cell right here with that severe thunderstorm warning. So that's what we'll keep an eye on for a little bit. Kind of checking some other information. And again, if you've got anything, maybe you're watching one, you might be just liking what you're just liking to follow. That's great. Maybe you're close to this area and you've got some reports. Did someone say that whenever Farina 10 minutes ago, there was some movement and a lot of hail? If you have a report, one thing to note about hail is of many sizes. It can be all kinds of sizes. You tell me hail, that's like telling me you've got a milkshake. I may be like, well, where's the milkshake from? If it's a milkshake from fast food, I may be like, from a nice milkshake bar, I'm going to really like that. What's the hail size? And here's how you can compare that. Of course, I'm using food, right? But you got a quarter, dime, nickel in your pocket, in your car, put a piece of hail next to it in your hand. And even if the hail is not that size, that gives us a great reference point. Everyone knows a quarter is 1 inch. Golf ball, 1.75 inches. If you ever get this size, you can use even sporting equipment. Some of you probably have kids playing ball, spring ball this time of year, baseball, softball, whatever the case may be. You can even use those. And even if the hail is the size of a quarter, but you got a baseball there, well, we know what size that is. It can reference that for size purposes. And in addition, there are certain objects we've had people send hails with. Wine corks. We've had hail sent with Bic lighters. A lighter is 3.75 inches. I know that now because people sent it in, and I had to look that up. So you give us a reference point for that, and that's a great way to stay connected with that for us. Okay, I got a photo. Let me get that photo up here. This is going to be in the Effingham-Clay County line. It's going to come in from Seth. Just sent me this picture here, and we'll make it full screen for you. This is looking off to the south and west. The rotation itself is probably back in that rain, behind it there. So you're not going to get a good view from it unless you're in the rain or behind it, and it's not all that strong. It's there. There's some support in the atmosphere for something to develop, but at this point, it's not an immediate, hey, this is a tornado warning that is needed. This is a, we're watching it. We're going to give it a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. Right now, that's going to be south of Mason in the Iola area, heading towards Blair, north of Louisville, south of Effingham. This is the southern part of Effingham County. There's the Effingham County line here. So it's south of Diederich, south of Watson, south of Mason. I-57 corridor, all clear. Watson, you're clear. Effingham, you're clear. We'll keep an eye on Diederich. I think it stays south of you, though. I think this is more heading towards the lake by Newton and into the city of Newton if it continues in that direction. So that is something that we'll keep an eye on. And I'll just pull up the velocity again. It's there. Not all that enthused by it. If this was a normal event, we didn't have that tornado warning earlier, I probably would look at that and be like, meh, not a big deal. at this point from a tornado perspective. I bet there's still some strong winds. There's a lot of wind already today. In fact, in central Illinois, we have wind gusts north of 45 mile an hour in some places. So there's probably some wind in there in the rain. Weak rotation, but given the atmosphere, that could spin up pretty quickly. And so we're just going to keep our coverage going and keep an eye on things here as we move on through. Okay, I'm going to bring it full screen. I need a drink of water. You ever talk a lot and need some water? Let me see here. Get some more information while I'm at it. There we go. Got that taken care of. Checking a few of the Facebook messages as well, and a few rainbow photos from around the area. I always appreciate seeing those. At this point here, that rotation, it's there, but it's not. I don't think it's imminent based on what I'm looking at. We'll just have to watch it, and hopefully it trends in the other direction. But we'll see. There's a wide view here of things. And again, when we look at this area down here, you can kind of see. So where are the radars we're looking at? We're actually using the Evansville, Indiana radar. That sits on the north side of 64, close to the state line in Gibson County. And that radar is giving us the best view here. The other radars we have is St. Louis, we've got Lincoln, and we've got Indianapolis. So when we get in this area here, the I-57-70 corridor, the junction there, Effingham County, surrounding areas, we don't always get the greatest look at radar because what happens is we're looking a little higher in the sky. The radar beam doesn't follow the surface of the Earth. It actually is slowly moving away from the surface of the Earth because the Earth's dropping off beneath it. That's a conversation for another day. But what happens is that means the further away we are, the higher the radar beam is. And in this area, we're looking probably actually not as far up. We're about 9,000 feet up. Oh, wait, that's my St. Louis radar. Let me switch to the Evansville radar. We're looking at about 5,000 feet up. We'd like to be closer, but you can't have a radar everywhere. You can't have, that take a lot of radars to cover everything like that. But they still do a good job, and we get a great view of it. So I'm not concerned something's going to slip up on us here. But still, we watch, and if you got any reports, things of that rotation just doesn't look all that great to me at this point. It's there, it's evident, but you notice where it is, and I'll kind of draw here, the red going away from the radar down at Evansville, the green going towards, very broad circulation at this point. Fix your eyes in that area. I'm going to put the radar on. The other thing about that is it's kind of wrapped up in the rain there, isn't it? So not a substantial, significant issue at this point. There's going to be some wind, and I should do is just check the hail size out, see if there's any hail. We had a lot of reports of some dime-size hail. We've had some penny-size hail. I had a few reports earlier, some quarter-size hail. It might take a minute see if any data pops up on here. A little bit. Let me put the hail size swath. See if we spot any areas that maybe had a little bit larger hail. This does a good job to give us an idea. Maybe sometimes the sizing is off, but you can see earlier there was certainly some hail there north of Centralia, south of Patoka, some of those blues showing up. Usually you see that. You're getting into the inch range, maybe a little bit bigger. North of Sandoval, northwest of Salem. It's suggesting there may have been some quarter-size hail earlier with those storms, if not slightly larger. And even in the Kimberly-Farina area, probably saw a little bit. Somebody messaged and said, hey, I had some dime-size hail there. We haven't really had any more. There was some small pea-size hail in central Illinois earlier, but we look up here in Champaign-Urbana, not much going on. I'm just kind of curious myself here about this storm. Not seeing anything imminent from it, but I was just curious. It's kind of out there, so we kind of watch things and keep an eye on it. Debbie's saying there's some wicked cloud-to-ground lightning between Effingham and Diederich. Yeah, up to the north there. There is a few little cells, nothing significant. The main storm of concern is now due south Effingham and 45. It's at that last curve by the county line there. You kind of get a little bit of a clearing there, I think. Around that curve, there's a pork farm right there too, a little hog house area down there. If you're familiar with that part of the county, eventually that's going to be moving. You see Lucas popping up on the screen there. The Mount Zion area, Mount Zion Cemetery. It's kind of some wooded areas over there. The Lucas Town Hall, Bethsaida Cemetery, Bethsaida Church. Kind of in that direction where we might have some hail and wind. I think it's South Elliottstown, probably, not by much. And to me as well, maybe it doesn't look as organized, even from a reflectivity perspective. But we'll see. We kind of sometimes watch these things pulse up, pulse down. And so that's certainly something that we keep an eye on for the region. So time now is 6:30. We started a little bit before 5:30 with a tornado warning for Fayette County. That tornado warning dropped at 6 o'clock. We did our 5:30 newscast and kind of had some extra long weather hits. The 6 o'clock, we had our digital coverage only because we don't have a tornado warning. We can cover this on digital platforms, Facebook, Twitter, our app, things like that, on our website where, folks are saying, oh, I got some storms in the area. I want to know more about what's going on. They can jump in for that. So at this point, that storm is kind of on the county line there, coming up on 45. And so we'll see how things continue. Just check some data real quick. Seth has let me know he's still out watching things. Tyler Repking texted me earlier and said he's got some pea-sized hail in Diederich. And I just want to check the National Weather Service chat we have with them, see if they've added anything. Home up. Let's see if they're saying anything. They're just continuing with the severe thunderstorm warning. They're saying there is some support, some spin in the atmosphere, which these storms are trying to latch on to, and they've struggled so far. So keeping an eye on that. Further down the line, where else are these storms at? Well, we're looking from Centralia to Salem up towards area south of I-57 now. Oskaloosa, never heard that one. Louisville, north of there, and into southeastern Effingham County. And so that's kind of our main area here. Folks in all this area, and everyone on the screen now, pretty much clear. You've been up here and nothing's going on. And that's great. We're happy for that. But we get a little further to the south, and we do have still those warnings south of Effingham, kind of between Mount Vernon and Effingham. Those warnings are going to head towards Crawford and Jasper counties, and then areas as well along US 50. That'll be from include Alney, Vincennes. Right here's Fairfield. It says Harder. That's supposed to be Fairfield. I don't know why it says that. It's probably there, or Flora. I said Fairfield. It's Flora. It's probably Harder Township is what that is. Xenia along the US 50 corridor, and then to the south there, that southern edge should stay north of Fairfield along US 45 there. So all that area is kind of where we're watching. And there's a risk for severe weather as well further to the south. Might just pop up that storm risk for the day, and you kind of see what we're looking at. Marginal risk, look at that. Lo and behold, we had those storms there and the WCIA reviewing area, but even down the I-57 corridor and into Paducah, Memphis corridor, there's been a risk for severe weather. And there were actually a couple of tornado reports up in Iowa today. And so that is something else. Let me just pop on the storm reports and we'll see what came about from that. One of my many magic buttons here. And they had actually a tornado reported in Iowa. That'd been east of Fort Dodge, Webster City area. And I know they had a couple other tornado warnings northwest of Waterloo. There's been some hail reported up there. In central Illinois, we haven't had any big hail reported, just some pea-size today. Nothing to be concerned about. But some of these storms to the south have had some hail with them. In fact, had a Farina hail report at 6:04 of some quarter-sized hail, a little further to the southwest past Kimmendy. I think that's maybe the Alma area. Had some 1-inch hail. And north of Carlisle there, along the lake on the west side, had a tree down at the Hazlitt Park Road. So there has been some minor damage with this. Nothing to me coming from Fayette County. That's some good news. certainly we'll kind of keep an eye on things if anything develops. And if you get any reports too, we love to see those. If you're out, I know we got 965 people watching. It blows my mind. But man, people love weather, and we love that you love the weather too. And it's kind of how we are. We've got the storm here near. Now it's on the hog farm there at 45. The curves there, the hill. That's what it is. Right on the county line is where that storm is. I'll put on our higher resolution radar for you. And it's kind of in that area. Watson, Mason, you're fine. Farina's good. Edgewood's fine. Diederich, Effingham, fine. This is going to be continuing on a general eastward progression. Should head towards Newton, near or north of the lake Newton as well. I know there's probably some folks camping there. So if you know someone, this is a great way to give them a heads up. Give them a little, hey, you got some storms coming, and they might know it too, depending on if they've got the WCIA3 weather app set to follow their location. If they're out and about doing things, it will take care of that. As far as a rotation perspective goes, it looks less and less impressive to me. Each scan, probably the most impressive it looked to me was back here coming out of the Kimberly area. It started to pulse up a bit, but certainly, while there is some broad rotation in that area, maybe it's more Clay County centric than Effingham County, but still have that warning for another 9 minutes. So if that warning expires, we'll wrap up our digital coverage. If it is extended, we'll kind of assess things, see what we need to do. But do you think that there could be some storms coming for Newton, Olney, Robinson, Flora, Vincennes, places like that? Folks are out for the eclipse tomorrow. That's the other thing is talk about, hey, we just had a tornado warning, and tomorrow we're near the path of totality for the eclipse. Just another day in Illinois, isn't it? For that. While I've got a lot of you, why don't I talk about the eclipse some? And we'll wait for an update to see what happens. First off, the eclipse, if you're in Champaign, this one's going to be, here we go. Let me get the right one. This is for Champaign. The eclipse begins at 12:48 in Champaign. We're almost at 98%. Not full, but it's close. And 2:05 will be our peak time in Champaign. The partial eclipse itself will end by 3:20. Really in about a window in Illinois. 1:45 to 2:15 is when your peak time to see things is going to be. I tell you what, there's a huge difference in the eclipse when you're in full totality compared to when you are just in 98, even 99%. This is in McLeansboro. The WCIA3 team is going down to McLeansboro. We'll be joined by WMD out of Peoria, and we'll be having some coverage on digital platforms. We'll be having coverage on our television stations of the totality in the eclipse. This will be the last time for Illinois, anywhere in Illinois, to have full totality until 2099, 75 years from now. I would be 105 if that were to happen. And I don't think I'm going to be around for that. Many of us probably wouldn't be. Let me show you the difference. Look at the difference between partial versus total eclipse. Partial totality and full totality. Mattoon, Charleston, okay, it gets darker, but there's still quite a bit of light there. In Effingham, especially the southeast side of Effingham, from downtown Effingham to the south and east is where you want to be. You don't have to go far, a mile or two in from that line just to make sure you're in the full totality. You get 40, 45 seconds of it where it's pitch. The light is way darker. It's not pitch black, but it's dark enough where you can see some stars pop up. So that's pretty fascinating. If you can get to totality, I think it's worth it, especially with it being so long. If you missed 2017, tomorrow's your chance. We are looking for our viewing area, 201 to 207. You're in Champaign, Springfield, Decatur, Tampa. It's not far. And you could go barely into totality. As soon as it's done, zip back to the north so you beat that traffic. I think some folks, that's highly recommended that they do that. Take advantage of it because this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And the next time totality passes through central Illinois, we are going to wait until 2153. My grandkids probably aren't going to be here then by that point. So that is something that we're looking at. And the forecast as well looks really good. We're looking at near perfect to good conditions here. The one question mark we have for areas in totality and even in central Illinois is cloud cover. Cirrus clouds typically are not thick enough to block the sun. They are thin. They might mute it a little bit. If you're into pictures and things of that, you might be a little upset by it, but I think you're still going to see it. if you're just there with casual observer, you're going to be just fine here. We're looking at great conditions for a vast majority of the area. So those cirrus clouds, we don't anticipate causing widespread viewing problems. There may be a pocket or two of some thicker cirrus clouds, but again, cirrus clouds are not all that much of a concern or a problem for us. So the conditions also are looking really good, especially compared to our friends. You get into Ohio in the Northeast, you get southwest into parts of Texas and places like that. You think they have a little rain out there is kind of what we're thinking of that. Let's say you're in Central Illinois and you can't make it to Totality. That's totally fine. We're going to have you covered. We'll have live broadcasts from Totality during the day, starting with some updates on WCIA 3 News at noon. We'll have updates on the digital platforms. I think 1 o'clock tomorrow, we're starting a broadcast down in McLeansboro. And then we will have live television coverage at 1:45, so you can see what it looks like in Central Illinois and then pop out and see what it is down in Totality. Again, huge difference, even from 99% to 100%, as that is kind of what we will we use here to assess things is whatnot. Okay, I'm trying to find one graphic I want to show. I don't think I have it actually readily available. I have posted, let's say you're in Central Illinois in the WCIA 3 viewing area and you're saying, hey, what time is it going to affect me? What is the totality? Let's go to my Facebook page. Lots of details over there that you can look at and check things out. Okay, just got an update from the National Weather Service. Their plan is to let this warning expire at 6:45. Great. That means we'll probably wrap up our coverage. We don't anticipate an extension. That rotation just doesn't look as impressive, so that warning should drop off the board. But still, if you know folks that are down in the US 50 corridor, Flora, Clay City, Olney, over towards Lawrenceville, Vincennes, even a little further south on the, I think that's the I-64 corridor, and US, or I guess that's an Illinois highway, Illinois 15 corridor, Fairfield. You got some folks that are down there for the eclipse. Maybe just text them, say, hey, you might have some storms coming. You want to be updated and aware of that. Lots of folks are down there with campers. Lots of folks down there with tents. You got to save a buck, or you just like camping, whatever the case is. But those types of things aren't great in storms. And so that's just a heads up that we want to give those folks. If you know someone down there, just say, might be some storms around. So this warning here for Effingham County is going to expire at 6:45. So we'll have a few more minutes and then we're going to wrap this up. And if you're in production in the back listening in my ear, we're going to give you guys the clear. I don't need to worry about that anymore. So that's some good news for us, where we'll see these warnings expire in our immediate viewing area. Of course, when we're looking at our television coverage, this map is our coverage area for TV. But sometimes when it's edge and down, we'll do a little extra digital like we're doing now. And that certainly is the case for us here. With this batch of storms that's coming on through. I'm going to pull a regional view up real quick. I just want to kind of give a heads up for some other folks. You know, some folks may be down, Carbondale looking fine, Mount Vernon looking okay, DuQuoin, Rend Lake looking great. You're heading to the west there towards Chester, places like that are fine. There's McLeansboro. That's where we're heading tomorrow. Harrisburg looking okay. No storms developing further to the south and west. It seems like that southern storm is now at Salem and to the north. Where we've got that little batch, and we'll see it carry on. And further south, some storms trying to pop Memphis up to northwest Tennessee, but nothing of concern there. And so that's kind of what we'll keep an eye on for the next little bit. All right, what we've got is 6:43. And I did just get a new picture, so I'll go ahead and bring that in for you. There we go. This came from Xenia. Oh, nope, it didn't work. That's the screensaver. See if it lets me log on it. Sometimes, there we go. This picture came in from Xenia. I think it was the fire department that had it. That's the shelf cloud there. The times you see the shelf cloud come through in the bottom side, it's kind of bumpy looking. They call it the whale's mouth. You kind of look underneath that shelf cloud, and it just apparently somebody was in a whale's mouth and said, that looks same as that cloud, and they named it that. Why people come up with these things, I don't know. But anyways, that's kind of what it is. It's your shelf cloud coming on through. So there's probably some breezy gust of wind, 40 mile an hour, a little higher than that, coming into the area south of Effingham. And they did have another photo. You can see, again, there's that shelf cloud there. You get the wind first, the rain follows. A lot of you probably said, I've seen pictures just like that. And so that's kind of something we'll keep an eye on here. So that just came in from the Xenia Fire Department, just saying, hey, here's a look at what we got. And they like to say, can we get some photos? Can we get some information out? We look at radar one thing, but do things tell a different story? To me, it looks even weaker, like the end of it's kind of fizzling out there. So here's what I'm going to do is you're going to see that warning drop off in 3 seconds, 2, 1, and there it goes. Magic trick for you. No warnings now in effect at 6:45. WCIA 3 viewing area is all clear from severe warning at this moment. If there was a low chance for a strong storm, kind of draw some arrows here, it would be, let me turn the arrowhead off, kind of position my map. If there was a chance for a strong storm, it would be primarily confined to this corridor here. The stronger storms are probably down here. Well, they are down here, north of Mount Vernon, south of Salem. And that might track more on the bottom line here. So maybe I would want to adjust that just a little bit. Draw that line again just to give you an idea here. Again, we're kind of looking there at the northern edge, and maybe that's the southern edge. So the US 50 corridor, the areas north of Illinois 15, north of 64, south of 70. This is probably a narrow window for maybe a few more strong storms. And that's probably the strongest storm. They're now crossing I-57 near Mount Vernon. Further to the south, I don't really have any concerns with this other stuff. We'll watch it. Maybe along the Ohio River and the Wabash River south of I-64. There's a few storms trying to develop, but they seem to have struggled down there today. And so that's what we will watch. So if you're in places like Flora, Olney, Lawrenceville, Vincennes, maybe Robinson, Newton to the south, Fairfield, and some of those rural areas around that, you got some storms coming. At this point, we just got one warning, and that's for areas north of Mount Vernon, Salem to the south and east. There might be some extensions. If you've got a WCIA 3 weather app, your app set your location on it. If there's an alert issued, you have that. If you're camping, just be aware. Hey, it could be some wind. That tornado threat's really low. We had one tornado warning just kind of spun up earlier. And there has been some rotation, but it's not looking, this isn't one of those days where we're like, hours and hours and hours of coverage. But what we look here is there are some pockets of wind to keep an eye on. Specifically here east of Salem, this complex of wind, probably riding the US 50 corridor and points to the south. So that'll be Flora, I-40, or US 45 between Flora and Fairfield, Mount Erie, West Salem there, Olney to the south, probably where that corridor of wind. And there is some more wind now coming into Flora that'll be going along and north of US 50 there towards Olney. And so it doesn't look significant to me, but there might be some 60-mile-an-hour gusts. In fact, what I can do is kind of come in here and we'll see what radar is estimating that wind to be. See that button pop up. So there's some, let's see, that's going to be some 50, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts in there, looks like. Let me confirm that thinking with this. Yeah, about 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible coming into Clay County, coming out of Marion County into be Wayne and Richland counties. That's probably the area to watch downstream with that. So I suspect there'll probably be some more warnings down there. This is what's left of that area rotation. I mean, it is just out. So we're probably finished for Effingham County. And we'll keep an eye on it for Crawford, Jasper County as well. But it seems like that instability is just trending a little bit further south. The later we go to the east, the further to the east we head. And I'll do one last check from our friends at the National Weather Service in St. Louis. I kind of talk about the same thing from Iuka to Kell in Marion County. That burst of wind there might be some 65 mile an hour gust coming out of there towards places like Sisseton, Flora, Xenia, kind of in that direction, northern Wayne, southern Clay County. All right, that is all. We're going to wrap up our responsibilities for the WCIA 3 viewing area. I'll keep an eye behind the scenes on things. If you know someone down there in Southern Illinois, give them a heads up. I'll post some graphics periodically as needed as well. But we do know down in that area, a number of our stations will cover folks that are here. We've got the Evansville television market. We've got the Terre Haute television market, the St. Louis television market, the Paducah television market. Could Paducah, Cape G. They'll kind of watch over this area, and we do too. Our main responsibility comes Effingham County, Fayette County is St. Louis, Crawford, Jasper County. We got some viewers down there. I know we do. They are technically for the television side over to Terre Haute, and so is Clark County. But I know we've got some viewers that are down there, and we on digital platforms watch them as well. Those counties further to the south, though, generally Olney, I think, is the Terre Haute market. We got some Evansville market there towards along the Ohio and Wabash rivers as well. But we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens with that. With that, it is 6:50. Going to wrap up our coverage here. Thanks for being with us, being a part of our digital broadcast as we've been watching some storms. Keeping an eye on things. If you're out in Southern Illinois, you can download that WCIA through weather app. It'll keep updated with your location, set it to program where you are and where you're heading. And if there's any alerts, it will notify you of that. Thanks for watching. It is 6:50, and we will see you for updates to the eclipse forecast. Try and get a full forecast in there for you. That'll be on WCIA 3 News at 9 on WCIX and at 10 o'clock on CBS. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your evening.